Okay, if you've seen the first part of the video, we tested that the motherboard worked, we got it all working with the RAM in the right part, and yeah, we both posted to BIOS, checked the hard drive and CD-ROM worked. And so the next step in building this PC is to put it into a case, and we've got a case here that's quite a large case. It's from the Pentium 3 era. It's a mesh case, and the first thing we need to do is check these motherboard mounting points are in the right place, and I've checked these so far by simply putting the motherboard in carefully, checking that these points on the motherboard line up, and there are two bits missing at the bottom, and I'm also missing a back plate, so I'll have to have a look for that. But one thing you need to be careful of is that different cases use different size mounting points. Some are taller, some are lower, so what I've done is I've checked this against here, and that's the same height, so I'm going to put one in this bottom corner and also one in this corner, and this should, in theory, just screw in. Yep, that's screwed in fine. Okay, and put this one in as well. I haven't found the back plate yet, so I'm just checking these are lined up correctly in the right place. They all appear to be perfect. So I'll see if I can find the back plate. I've not been able to find the exact back plate, but I've been able to find one that will work well enough, because the bits that it does have actually do line up. And so these can just be blanked out. So this clips in. There we go. And then put the motherboard in. And then we can put some screws in to hold it into place. A magnetic screwdriver is very handy. And we're just doing it loosely at the moment while we get everything lined up, so that we've still got a little bit of movement, just in case we need to tweak it a little bit. And I'm going to try and use the same size and style of screw if possible. However, as this is an old system, I don't think it's very likely. So we've got two in for now, and I'll reconnect this fan. Next we're going to put in the graphics card. screw in here. This is quite a nice case because it's got quite a lot of space. It's an ATX case, which means that it can accept a full length down to here ATX motherboard. And I'll show you the difference between ATX and mini ATX. This is a much newer mini ATX motherboard, and as you can see, it's got about that much extra length. And there's a lot of space here because some of the motherboards come out to here, some are quite large. Then we've got quite a lot of space between this and the hard drive bays, the optical drive bays. There's a fan section here for holding a fan. The connectors are quite neatly labelled up, and as we've already got RAM, processor, graphics card, we need power supply, and we can start putting in some of the drives. We're going to use the same power supply as we tested this with. Now, it might have been easier for me to do this before putting the motherboard in, but sometimes it's just nice to have a clean area for the motherboard. So, can I put it in this way, in the top? Yes, I can. Lines up into the back, and there are 4 screws in the back that need to be put in. And these are the sort of screws we want to be using. Whoops! You get several types of different screws. You've got the thinner thread on the left, and you've got the fatter on the right. Thinner is, you know, for optical drives, fatter is for power supplies. These things at the back, anything where you've got metal on metal, that tends to work well. Okay, let's carry on with putting things into this system. It was from a system, and for some reason that system had a piece of paper wedged under it. So I don't know why, but kind of unnecessary. And what I'm going to try and do, mount it away from the graphics card and these are the slots, because you may want to change the graphics card at some point, and some of them can be quite large, so it's best not to have, you know, cables, hard drives in the way. So we'll move this up to here, and you can check the thread on here. You can see that it's quite a coarse or thick thread on this. That means we'll be using those larger threaded screws. If you're ever getting rid of a PC and you're taking it to recycling, keeping hold of screws is always can always be useful for future systems. We've got an optical drive, fits in from the front. matches with the beige colour of this blanking plate. Yeah, that should be fine. And these normally use a thinner thread. You can do it. Sometimes a fatter screwdriver is better because this actually holds the screw in place, and that is much easier to put in than a thinner one. And at a later date I will do the other side of this as well. So let's connect this up. Tuck this cable out of the way where possible, so that we can still see what we're doing when we're connecting other things, although I've obviously just blocked this one. Okay, took this one out of the way, and then took this out of the way as well. There we go, that's quite neat. Okay, connecting the power supply. What we want to do with this is any cables we don't really need, we will put to one side, and we will try and find somewhere neat to keep them. This just clips in. This is the main motherboard power supply. We need power for the optical drives. So what we will do is we will keep the hard drives and the optical drives separate. We're going to remove any additional adapters that may have been used on this. It's even got an old school random connector. Odd. So there's a few adapters that have been left on this. This is an adapter for SATA. Don't need that at the moment, so we're going to take it off, because the less complicated this is, the more reliable it is likely to be. So this has got one connector and a connector for a floppy. We're not needing floppy. This is for if the motherboard needs an extra connector. It does not. This is 2 and a floppy, and then we have another 2 and another 2. So we've got quite a lot of connection options here. Because this looks like a good length for the optical drive, we'll use this. It's already got some cable management going on there. So put this here, and this space in the top of the system is going to be a good place to put the cables we don't need. And just neatly keep them out of the way. Use this one in case we want to add a second hard drive to the system. It'd be handy having a spare power connector right under here, but in case we put another hard drive here. Okay, so move this as well. Got a fairly neat system still, just about. And we need to connect up these bits here. The motherboard header. Connecting up the front motherboard connection points. Now, this motherboard has quite neatly labelled pins, and this case has quite neatly labelled connections. So hard disk drive LED, reset switch, power LED, power switch and speaker. Now we know from yesterday's testing that the speaker goes here. Then looking at the next on the list, we've got a reset switch and we've got a power switch. So we'll do the reset switch. And in front of that, the power switch. And we've got a hard disk LED, which is unknown. ACPI LED. And we've got a power LED, and we know power LED goes here because it's nicely labelled. We'll come back to hard disk. It might be ACPI. So we'll just go for it. If it doesn't work, we can always move it. These things can be fiddly, and it might be easier if I remove that first. Okay, we've connected up with the front connector. We need to plug in the power, and we've got some of that. I'm going to plug in the power cable. Going to plug in the video cable. And we're going to connect up the USB keyboard that we've been using. And let's press the power button and switch this on. Also, it helps if we switch on the power supply at the back, because we've got the red LED on the motherboard, and we'll press the power button, and hopefully it will remember the settings that I put in the BIOS yesterday. Yep, 256 meg, Celeron 633, we've got a hard drive, CD drive, ATA100 means it's using the faster power cable, ATA33 means it's using the slower cable, and we have a boosted up system in a case.